Hello everyone, welcome back to FPL, the Frontline Prediction League. Welcome to In the Trenches. I am one of your co-hosts, Scott, along with BeerMeJesus. How are you today, BeerMe?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I got the week off, so I've been just kind of relaxing and doing whatever and working on FPL stuff and top of the card stuff and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's been pretty good. First time I've had off all year, so...
Oh yeah, that's gotta feel good.
Oh, it feels great. It's really good. Being able to be lazy and do nothing and yet do a lot. Yeah. For those wondering what it is mentioned, yeah, top of the card. That is the podcast that Beerman and I are on with a few other guys. The new episode is coming out very shortly. It's been edited. Keep an eyes out. Top of the card pod on Twitter and wherever you get your podcasts. But this here, the Frontline Prediction League. Frontline League, this YouTube channel, like, favorite, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Everything is there with Backlash coming up in a couple weeks. We'll get towards that, and we'll even mention some matches probably next week or the week after. But right now, we've got Rebellion, which just happened. Outside of things, pretty good show. Did you ever get around to catching it, Bear Me? I remember you were talking about it on the podcast. Maybe?
I was going to, but then some things happened, and I've just seen what clips and stuff on Twitter, but
yeah.
From what I've heard, it was an alright show.
I mean, that's probably way to look at it. All right. It was fine. It had a lot of the expected stuff and some weird surprises. It wasn't like super, awesome, best show ever. But I wouldn't call it a failure. It was good.
And Alexander won. That was cool.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with that.
He's getting a good Stiggles push, yeah.
Yeah. But that was a pay-per-view for us. It was a house show for the FPL. So, we have a house show. And to clarify all those again, the main shows are WWE and NXT. The house shows are things like Impact, AEW, Ring of Honor, and the like. Not that we do any others, but you know what I mean. Main reason again for that is that everybody can pretty well have access to WWE, but things like Ring of Honor really isn't aired in England. We know one of the guys has trouble with that, or in the UK, excuse me. He's in Scotland. But stuff like that, like availability is a bit iffy for others, and it's just not as many people follow those as much as they do the big one. So this show didn't really matter in a lot of ways. And I say that with the caveat because stuff does matter, but if you skip this, you're not penalized, is basically it. But if you do show up and do some stuff, you can have some fun stuff, and you can get things like Tier 1 defeating our American champion. So that can play towards the future. You never know.
All right.
But let's dive in, Bear, because all we've got tonight to talk about is the Rebellion results. And like I said, one preview of a match coming up, but we've got the American champion, Tier 1. Sorry, the American champion being beaten by Tier 1 in a non-title match. Again, it wasn't a title match, so it doesn't matter. You know all about that from the Solution days, but pretty definitive. Tier 1 beat McKennedy 27-16.
Big win for him.
A big win. And after
He's continuing his role.
And he won eye for an eye, right?
Yeah.
So we said this is momentum. This is the kind of thing. When we're looking at contenders for McKennedy, he's probably in the mix, especially with that win. Again, it's not that that absolutely is the case because it's a house show. It doesn't matter. But he did it once. Can he do it again? That's where that kind of comes in. So,
right.
Very interesting match. We've got the Iron Man match. Smooth Rock defeating Jonathan C.T. Martin. And now, yes, C.T., we joked about him being on a slide. He actually had 3 or 4 wins in a row. We get hung up on that slide thing. I'm not saying that this is going to be a slide either, because it's an Iron Man match and it's 1 point, but that's how Iron Man matches go. So it's rough, but again, doesn't really matter. That's the caveat with these. It's like, damn, wish I beat him. So, but good win by Smooth Rock.
One.
Yeah, only by 1, which again is the quality of wins. We like to say that a lot. Like, compare the next 2. I'll just mention them: 28-16. 22-17. Well, next 3, 34-15, and the main event was 27-16. These are all like 10 or more gulfs between victor and loser at 1 point for these guys. So that's good.
I feel like that's a big thing for Impact shows too. You can either get it really right or you get it really wrong. There's no in between. You know what I mean?
The big key there, and I even laugh. I laugh with GMG because we talk about it a lot too. But sometimes it's like, oh man, they did everything wrong. It's like, nah, we predicted wrong. I mean, they did it wrong too, but you got to get in their head to predict what they do. And I know he and I go on about that every now and then. It's like, everything is so wrong. I'm like, yeah, but you should have predicted that. Not that I did either, because I had a rough one too. But I mean, I won my match. But
Did.
Let's look on the way through. We got Escobar beating Luke. We got Alpha Dog beating JJ, which is big. And Ash beating Rate Wrestle, which is big. So Escobar got some revenge on being tossed from the Battle Royal at WrestleMania and beat the guy who's on the path toward the world title. So Escobar is keeping his name in the mix. He's
doing that thing again, yeah.
He's doing that thing again. He will not be denied, right? So I love everything about that. That is cool. Again, these don't matter. I'm putting but still, it's like the story is cool for that. Alpha Dog beat JJ.
Not too many people could say they beat JJ. No.
Yeah. So that was a good one, and I hope he can capitalize on it and actually get the win when it matters. Again, not to keep stabbing that, but that's kind of where it is. Like, that's a cool win. That looks good on your record, but a little bit of asterisk. Same with Ash beating Rate Wrestle. That's kind of like, I don't want to say it's expected for a guy like Ash, but Rate Wrestle has been very, very good. So that's we were hyped for that match, I remember. So that's a good one to see with that outcome. I was pulling for Rate Wrestle. I think we both agreed on that, but it's kind of was Ash's to lose, but Rate Wrestle, he'll bounce back from that. Again, these ones don't matter as much when we're talking about the standings and the stuff in line for titles and positioning on the card for Backlash. This stuff doesn't really factor in as much as you would think is what it is. So, Broken Nerd did defeat LJ 22-14. Josh Jonio beat Killmonger 23-10. And I'll just say right there. Oh, go ahead.
I said just Nerd and JD, two people that just continue rolling.
Yep. LJ and Killmonger, not taking anything from them, but that's Nerd and that's JD. They're tough opponents. They're seasoned veterans who know what they're doing. Not that they didn't, but these guys have they're just a little more solid, a little more seasoned in that sense. Honestly, the next match, all four of you guys are. It was you and the GMSG versus Carlito and Wookiee, and you guys won 48-25. And considering some people are winning with scores of 23 and 22, and that team got 25, ouch.
Yeah,
that was rough for those guys. But you had it handily at 48. So my score 27. Look at that, one of the better ones we've seen. 27-15. I beat James Costner, who does not suck. But I beat him.
Does not suck.
But I beat him. But I beat him. It's a house show. It doesn't really matter, but I beat him. We'll leave that. CJ Hawk beat Redhead by 2, 24-22. Bastion beat Mad Elite Titan. RGX beat Jason Blades. Those were 26-17 and 26-19. We don't really use the points in the scores as much, unless it's the thing like 24-22. Yeah, that was close, so that might be how the write-up goes. These other ones, like 35-31 for Arbor over Lexi Briggs. Two amazing scores, by the way. Lexi Briggs, one of the highest scores we've seen going through this, and still lost, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
Things like that will be close, but when it's a bit of a gulf like that tag match, yeah, it might be a blowout in the write-up, too. We don't want to have people just, look like they got jobbed out. But sometimes that happens. It's wrestling, so it can be how it goes. We do want to at least... We want to kind of... this is hard. I don't want to say we want to protect people, but obviously I was thinking that by saying it. But there's times when it's like, it's a house show, so it shouldn't really matter as much, so pinning JJ Rocky should be a big deal. So it happened, but it was kind of like, I got him! And it's like, haha, he's conniving because it fits the character and stuff like that. Or Escobar is all about that. So things like that is where we try to go. Like, I don't want to have it where it's a cheap win. No, you won, you earned it. We want to make that matter. So Chef Urban beat Cam 16-7. That's a rough one. That's BeerMe. That's like you said with Impact, right? Like that happens with some of these. We've got Lucian Hollis defeating Buck N5 and Junction, one of the few triple threats on the card. I think the only one, actually.
Good to see him get a win.
A good bounce back. That's the kind of thing what this was. Yeah. A good bounce back win. Like I said, Ash got a bounce back win. I got one.
I did too.
You guys got one. Lucian got one.
Yeah.
Ralintendo showed up. He wasn't originally on the card. He wasn't. And Monkey Bong had, gone. These guys both came back, and Ralintendo beat him. Non-title, but he got the win, so he keeps the momentum. Storyline-wise, Red kind of put him in the match. It's like, you're here, so you're going to compete. And that's the FPL. That's how it is. So it's kind of like you put your picks in, you've got a match. But that was great on. There we go. So we're good. Modstep beat Casey Warden 21-10. That's a bit of a blowout.
Yeah.
That one's a bit tougher. Chappers and Roman Pierce, no contest. 23-23. So it's clearly not over with these guys.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's rough. It's rough. Skylar Cross beat Wesley Shadow 18-17. Bane the Bissa beat Tino 19-17. That's huge, and yet, again, doesn't matter. Right?
Right. Yeah.
But it's Tino. So that's, yep. And then Ace High beat Kurt Cult, which is great for Ace High. He's got, I think he's one of the worst records along with Bane. That's what these guys are opening. But that's rough for Kurt Cult, former Green Machine. That's a tough one. That hurts. That sucks. Bunch of achievements, things like win your first match or fifth match, which I got. Win 5 in a row. Nerd got that one. Hollis got the triple threat. Smooth Rock got the Iron Man. And Lexi Briggs, match of the night. And yeah, the results are here. So I'm not going to go through the full detail of what's in here in the write-ups because we put a lot of work into it. Like I said, I've done some of my vacation on this, but CT and Red also did all the writing. Come onto our Discord. You can check out the stats page, which GMSG is probably doing right now, this very moment as we record it Wednesday, during Dynamite of all things. But there's details here about the stuff where, like, well, Real Nintendo's in there, and Hollis attacking Ash, and there's stuff going on there. Lots of fun, interesting things going on in the FPL. We're just kind of starting that new season, as it were, Beer Me. What's really stood out to you on this one? Anything you want to really touch on or focus on from this?
On this card, I think Kier 1 beating the champ is pretty big.
Yeah.
And then also JD winning his is pretty big because he showed up also in the main event. So, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but I think those are pretty big. Like I said, Sebastian Escobar beating Luke's kind of cool because, like, literally everybody keeps calling him number 2 except me. It's number 1 around here. But yeah, but you know what I mean? Yeah, he's good. He's good. I like what he's doing. So
he's making the most of it, if anything.
Yeah,
like he's proving everybody. I don't want to say he's proving them wrong. He's proving them right because I know they're saying number 2 like a derogatory, like can't win the big one, but to be consistently there at that number 2 spot, silver medal, to be there is something. Like, not for nothing, that is hard. I'm not in that breadth, and I just barely have a winning record. So it's like, I get it. So it is awesome to see him actually consistently be there to avenge that kind of embarrassment, which I wasn't able to do. I couldn't beat Matt at Mania. Yeah, there's things like that. So, as far as for what's coming up next, the next couple trenches, Beer Me, we were just talking, so people know beforehand, but we don't have a show for a few weeks. It's like mid-May is the next pay-per-view, Backlash, and I've got one match to announce for that, kind of. But as far as what we're going to be doing on trenches leading up to that, well, yeah, we'll obviously be previewing stuff like 3 weeks from now for that one. But next week, we're still debating on what it's going to be, because we're going to do trenches. Maybe we'll elaborate on what some of the guys are doing, like where the stories are going and where we see stuff, because character chat is booming. I mean, we could even focus on that a little bit right now, Beer Me. The character chat has gone nuts and exploded as of late.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Like, anybody standing out to you in that one?
Around Nintendo. It's been posting some stuff in there that I like. Obviously, Death Money Inc. CT's always in there, just throwing out some stuff. Costner. Yep. Always. And you.
Mine are so normal compared to everybody else's at this point. Like, it's...
Yeah.
It really is. This is like, promo guy. Yeah. Everybody else's are just, they're nailing it like in twice the speed. It's more to the point, more direct, better. Like, I feel like I'm one of the worst promos right now, honestly. And I love that. I love the fact that people have stepped up so much. And
I like it when they
are doing that.
I like it when like RGX like uses like, oh, this is stuff from like Bleacher Report or something else. I'm being told like I don't know what's going on with him, or like, you know, Rate Wrestle has Akira that runs his like Twitter and stuff. You know, like that's cool stuff.
Cool extra character bits for sure. You don't do promos much in there, do you?
No, I really don't. I really don't.
You just talk.
I never really had to back in the day. I just showed up and
all you're talking is in the ring, huh? Yeah.
Yeah,
it'd be good. Could be good. Could be good. I mean, you got GMSG, kind of in the, like. Your team, Bastion doesn't. Your faction doesn't really do promos.
No, we really don't. We're just the silent type that wants to get the job done, but we just we haven't been doing that lately, except for this pay-per-view.
Well, yeah.
But we'll be back.
So we'll get there. We'll get there. Now.
Yeah.
Oh,
can I say one more thing?
Oh, absolutely.
When Lexi Briggs gave Sebastian Escobar that gift, and it was a number 2 ribbon, I was like, oh no.
A second place? Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost kind of broke character at one point with 1-2, where it was like, I gotta say, like, it's gonna take 2 to do it. Like, I had to. And I'll freely admit, like, I messaged him outside and be like, I'm sorry, man, it was low-hanging fruit. I had to do it. He's like, no, it's great. It's funny. So it was like, it's that idea, like, everybody on the roster does it, which is why it works. Because if it goes top to bottom and everyone's like, yeah, you're number 2. Yeah, you told it as a negative, it's for sure that. But this means you're always in contention. You just got to pull that trigger. And I think you'll probably say this even more than I will. You're pretty convinced he will get a title, right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Like, it's a matter of time? Yeah,
he definitely will. Yeah. Like, he kind of has to, because everybody just keeps calling him number 2 and just, like, dogging on him. He's gonna show him. He's gonna get that title. I'm hoping it's the world title. I hope. I mean, I like Payne a lot, but I hope he's the one to take it from Payne down the road. That's what I want.
Well, I mean, what would be what the worst thing would be is if he won the American or the Canadian, a secondary title.
It's the number 2 title, and then everybody just.
He wins gold and it doesn't matter. Oh, that would suck. Oh, we love you, Escobar, but yeah. So I think that kind of thing, we can talk a little more about that next week, about kind of some of the characters and where things are going, to kind of put some shine on that. I think would be a good idea for next week. Plus, we'll have more matches to announce. The only match I'm going to announce right now for Backlash, or WrestleMania Backlash, because that's what they're calling it. And for the record, we are doing Slammiversary in July and Double or Nothing in May. As far as we know, Under Siege from Impact and Against All Odds are Impact Plus and probably TV. They're not pay-per-view. Slammiversary is their, quote, return to pay-per-view, so just keep that in mind for what the next shows are. The match we're announcing is the Canadian Championship will be defended at Backlash. We've got confirmation that Ralentendo will be there. He will defend. We do not have the number 1 contender, which I know, BeerMe, you've made a claim for that. So that
doesn't mean I'll get it.
No, that is being discussed. As far as for who the contender is, it will be announced. There's a plan, and we're going to see what comes from that. So there's some confirmation to go, because a lot of people have suddenly gotten involved in going after Ralentendo, and his characters even said, like, full out, like, it didn't go the way he planned it. It was disappointing. He wants things to be done right, so we want to make sure the champ's happy. We want to make sure.
Seems like a lot of the old guard are coming for that title,
And that's a thing. I know some would not be happy with that, because do they deserve that position based on being old guard? And that's part of the thing with holding up that JRPL Canadian title, right? That but it's based on the records and the fairness, and we're wanting to make sure that is the case and all the way across. Again, though, the old guard makes a great story with his storyline of wanting to not deal with the old guard. It's kind of great, so we want to make sure everything works well with that. So that's a little peel back, a little bit of a war room peel back, but as far as that, it will be defended, and we'll have that probably next week. We can confirm that one. I know I'm looking for some revenge as well. I've got that in mind, and there's a lot of chatter going on in the character chat, so We'll definitely have some matches next week to announce, BeerMe. That's it for me. And that went quick, and I talked through most of this, so I apologize, my friend. Do you have anything else you want to say about Backlash coming up, or Rebellion or anything, or anybody else you want to highlight here tonight before we go? Not to put you on the spot, but...
Hawk, Hawk, he's been doing really good stuff. But, I'm excited for Backlash. Rebellion was good, and Backlash is hopefully going to be better.
Backlash hopefully be better. Not that Rebellion was bad, but
it wasn't.
Backlash.
I mean, like,
Backlash matters.
It's like a main,
right?
Yeah, it matters.
Yeah. Backlash, and then there's Money in the Bank in there somewhere, Extreme Rules, and then SummerSlam. And we're all going towards that with the first ever world title. So, yeah, things will be interesting. And, of course, the tag titles got mentioned, right? Not on the last one, but during Mania. The tag titles are coming. So,
Yeah.
those teams, we're looking at that as well. So, anybody in a tag team, get that momentum going, and those conversations, you're being looked at, you're being watched. So, let's keep that in mind as well for what can happen. And if you're not in a team, you want to be in one, let us know. Reach out to people, see if they want to be in a team. We want teams. We need teams because we don't want to have a tag team division where it's just basically the best of what's there. We want to have a division that's deserving of champions. So that's the plan, at least. So we'll see where that goes. But Beer Me, I think we'll call it there. Nice and quick, in and out. Kind of blast this one through and remind everybody that it is at top of the card. That's our podcast. It's a Frontline League. Like, favorite, subscribe, everything here on this YouTube channel. Follow it on Twitter as well and all the good stuff. Follow Beer Me and on myself. And any comments below about what you want to see us do. Because, hell, we could even Q&A some stuff next week or the week after. Because we haven't done one of those in a long time since back in the Frontline days. Because we haven't had a bit of a breather. We finally have one, my friend. So that could be fun, too. If people want to just ask us stuff, do that, too. We could even throw in some of that all the time anyway. Why not? It'd be good. But, yeah, I think we're good. Anything else you want to say?
No, I think you took all the words right out of my mouth. You're good.
I've been doing that. It's a very talkative couple days for me with the podcast as well. So I thank you again, my friend. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. And don't forget, like, favorite, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you in a few weeks as we build up towards Backlash. Thanks again.